Barney Anderson.
Hello, Mr. Anderson. This is Frank Marino.
Hi, Mr. Marino.
From Brooklyn. How you doing, sir?
Yep, doing okay.
I got your message the other day, and I just want to tell you what's going on. I'm a bit confused, whatever. But I am in ill health, okay? And just the whole synopsis, I had a catheter installed in me for 56 days because I have a large prostate. And it was defective and whatever. There's all kinds of lawsuits are going on, but I was in extreme pain. And one of the things there, my sister came and visit me at the hospital, who I love my sister all my life, and I explained to her the pain that I was going through and everything, and she looked in my eye and she this, and she tried to help me, and then 2 minutes later, the nurse comes in to take my blood pressure, and she bolts out. She says, "Oh, I got to go finish my pool." I said, "Patty, I need your help." Long story short, I called her an hour later, and she wouldn't come over. It's so complicated, but the only thing, sir, when you have prostate problems, they were giving me morphine, the highest dose allowed, but only every 4 hours, okay? So what happens every 2 hours, after 2 hours, the pain would come by. I couldn't urinate. I would have to grab my groin and like you're milking a cow. Excruciating pain. But in any event, not to tell you this whole thing, how my sister, then I found out that hot towels worked. So I would go to the bathroom, take a towel, put hot water, put it on my groin, and that worked in between. And what started happening, I started abusing 7 different nurses in the hospital. Kept calling, "I need hot towels, I need more. A whole thing. But my point is, then I discovered my older brother, who lives in PA. I called him. I said, "Ray, I'm in pain." But he said, "Frank, why don't you get a hot, a heating blanket?" I said, "Oh my God, I didn't think of that." And I went on this quest, calling everyone in the world. The hospital, they don't have heating blankets, whatever, heating pad. And I called my sister at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock. I said, "Patty, could you do me a favor?" She's in Staten Island. I'm in Brooklyn. I said, "Could you just go to CVS, buy me a heating pad, come here?" And she went on, "Oh, no, I can't, my friends." And then I asked her, I said, "Listen, could you call a cab? And I have the money, whatever. And when he comes over, call car service, then tell him to go to Walgreens or wherever, buy a heating pad, come over here. I will pay him for the heating pad, or you give him the money, plus I'll give him, whatever, a big tip." In any event, her response is, "Oh, I can't do that now, I'm busy." She hangs up. As a result of that, sir, I went into excruciating pain that they diagnosed me now as having, what do prisoners of war have? What's that?
PTSD?
So, pardon me?
Post-traumatic stress disorder?
Right. One of the doctors, I'm at my Maimonides Hospital, which is a premier hospital in Manhattan, and one of the doctors told me, after interviewing him, I've seen him several times, and he said to me, he's worked, he was in the service with POWs, and he said, that's what happens. He says, we nurture them back to health. They come out, they weigh 80 pounds, we do and they're fine. And then a year later, they kill their mother and father, So I'm very volatile, but what I'm bringing out is my sister knew this, right? I have this, I want to get even with her. I wanted to pay because she did do this. But speaking with friends of mine, they said, "Frank, what are you going to do?" Because other than this incident, my sister was everything in my life. I'm 70 years old, But other than this incident, so they said, "Frank, look, you fool around." And I don't know if when you told me, I told you when I went down to the county, what do you call it? I spoke with them, I told the whole story. Then they gave me a detective, Lou, I think, Oriental name, but whatever, something Lou. And they wanted me to take a sworn statement, but by the time I got to them, they were closed. Then I heard your voicemail, and you said, don't speak with them no more. You're in charge now. The state took it over. And my question is, when I told a friend of mine about it, he says, Frank, maybe that means the RICO Act. Are you involved with the RICO, or is that federal, or?
Well, yeah.
I'm asking, here's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
I'm very honest, and what he's telling me. He's saying, Frank, if you go down there and make a statement, and then 6 months later, you're saying, Christ, she's going to go to jail for a year. She has no record and everything, whatever. He said, what if you buckle then? And you say, look, I can't do it. I don't want to testify. He said, you could probably go to jail. So that's the dilemma I'm in right now, Mr. Anderson. I don't know what the hell to. One part, I want to do it because it's the truth and whatever. And I don't know what to tell you, but I'm 70 years old. I have an IQ of 172. Albert Einstein's IQ was 160, and I don't say that I'm anywhere near him, but I'm just good with things. I ran multi-million-dollar businesses. I was worth $100 million 20 years ago. I had a problem with cocaine. I went to jail. I went to rehab. I went to Rikers Island. For 20 years, I've been clean. The only thing I do is I smoke marijuana, and I have a medical license. I go once a year. I have a thing about marijuana. But my sister infected my family, my daughters, telling them that I'm doing crack and coke and this, and I'm going to be like 20 years ago. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking for advice. My first question, does the State Department mean RICO? Are you tied with the federal people? How does that work?
No, here's what happened. There are three different levels of government that prosecute criminals.
Okay.
There is the local level, which is the county, and they do the vast majority of crimes. The county level, that's the county district attorney's office. Okay. Then you have the state. The state prosecutors are typically in the state attorney general's office. New York has every state has an attorney general, and I work for the state Pennsylvania attorney general's office. And then the third level prosecutor is federal crimes, and the county can prosecute any crimes. The attorney general's office and the federal government have more limited jurisdiction. We can't prosecute any crimes. We can only prosecute certain crimes, and it gets on a whole complicated thing. But this case against your brother-in-law and your sister,
my brother,
and the other four defendants.
Right.
I'm sorry, your brother and sister, right. Your brother and sister, I apologize.
Sure.
It was our case from the beginning. And one of the reasons it was because we have the ability to independently prosecute. Well, there are a couple of reasons, but one is the RICO statute, that stands for Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization, okay? And that's a federal law. Well, the state of Pennsylvania has a similar law. It's a corrupt organizations law. So, we call it RICO. It's technically not RICO because it's not federal, but we have the same law that makes, running a corrupt organization illegal. And that's one of the charges against your brother and your sister-in-law and the other defendants. Okay. You have indicated that you have some, and all these crimes, Frank, they all have a specific intent element. In other words, that these defendants have to have the intent to do the acts that constitute these crimes.
Right.
So when you come to me and you tell me things, we had conversations, I warned them, they knew. All right, now that goes to the intent element of these offenses. and that interests me. Okay, that's information that I would like to have, and I'd like to use at trial.
Right.
But I'm not going to compel anybody to come in and testify. Okay, if you determine that you would like to do that, then great. If you don't want to do it, I'm not going to force. I can't force you to do it.
I understand.
And
the question, Mr. Anderson, that I'm worried about. I want to come in. I mean, I told you after this life-threatening thing, I flatlined. They put a pacemaker on me. I flatlined for 5 minutes. They told me one more minute I'd be brain dead. You know, all this shit. I wake up in the middle of the night. I got these nightmares that I'm being tortured. So, you know, I feel that God is telling me, tell the truth. But then some of my friends saying, Frank, what if you don't have the guts in a year from now or whatever time, 6 months? You know, you see you're there in court and they're going to give her a year in jail somewhere in upscotch, whatever. And he said...
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, this thing is scheduled to go to trial in January. It's going to go to trial in January. So it's not that far off,
Right.
okay, the actual trial.
Right.
The second thing is, like I said, I mean, you know, I think we should get together. You should talk to Agent Zeza, talk to myself, you know, tell us the information you're interested in, and then we'll determine later on when we get towards the trial, you know, what we do with that. You know, you tell me how you feel about it.
I think that's the right way because I'm nervous you know, I got so many complications with my medical health, you know what I mean? And today I had the hospital and 3 different doctors or tests, blood tests, urine. You know, I'm in crazy pain with this. They took the catheter out of me, but I'm in severe pain. Like I got to urinate every minute. You had mentioned earlier.
It's terrible, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's in the mind, like, you know, forget about it or no. But here's my point. Hey, if I'm right, you had mentioned last week, whenever, that possibly you could come to Brooklyn or we could meet somewhere.
Sure.
All right. You know what you do? Give me a couple of days, sir. Give me a couple of days.
Okay.
I got appointments tomorrow, this, that, but let's see. Today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll probably call tomorrow. If Friday I'm free, part of me says I want to get it over with, and if that meant me driving out or meeting you, to do it. But if not, I'll call you before Friday, and we'll set up something Monday, Tuesday, whenever it's convenient.
Okay, yeah, just, you know, take care of your health first, okay?
Right.
You know, that's the most important thing. So take care of your health there. It sounds like you got a lot of challenges. But, you know, we'll be ready whenever you want to.
All right.
And also keep in mind, too, that, you know, we may need a little time to set it up. In other words, if you call and say, oh, you call me like tonight, say I can do it tomorrow.
I fully understand.
Yeah, I might need a little more time for that.
You know, you might say next Thursday at here, whatever, and I totally understand.
Well, we'll be able to work out a time. Yeah, so just get back to me, and like I said, we'll do whatever we need to do to accommodate you and your health situation. You know, it sounds like you're going through a lot, and I don't want to make it any worse for you than it is. But you know, you're not. Let me ask you this while I have you.
Yeah.
This Bel Air Realty, right?
Right.
I understand that Bel Air Realty is the corporation that was formed to operate this building over in Queens,
That's
right?
correct. My dad
correct?
owned Bel Air, and he purchased this property 40 years ago, you know, and it's been in the family. And and John's been the one, doing all the bookkeeping, whatever. And that started it off too with John. I found out that he was absconding all kinds of money. You know, we had a wonderful thing, you know, $6,000-7,000 rent roll every month. Our debt service was only $3,000. So, you know, theoretically we had $3,000 a month, and he did that for so many years, and there's no money left, you know. All bullshit things that came out now, you know what I mean, because we're trying to move to the next stage. So I'm angry.
Right.
He's lying. He's this. He's that. My sister, on the other end, I want to mention to you, she's mentally challenged in different ways. Like she's smart. You can.
It seemed like that to me. Yeah.
Did you ever meet her?
Yeah. Well, I never, had a conversation with her, but in some of the things that she said, and and I've looked at a lot of communications between her and John, and some of the things she said makes me,
just a little footnote. She's not crazy, this, that. I mean, at times she used to come at me over the years, want to fight and throw things, but that I understand. That's brother and sister love, but just some of the things, she's into all the spiritual, religious things, and every morning she tells me, and I'm one of the only ones, but just to tell you her mindset, how she's not clear. She is divorced. She had a lover she met. His name was Larry. I think he had one leg, okay? That's what I remember about him.
Okay.
She's been going to AA and NA, no, not NA, she was never on drugs, AA and OA, Overeaters Anonymous. She was at one point about 100 pounds heavy. She's been going for 35 years to OA and NA. 35 years ago, she meets this guy at an AA meeting, and he's one of the speakers, telling his story, how he got straight, he was on crack, blah, 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 and she falls in love with him, right? He's the smartest guy, and they go out on one date. They go on one date. He never calls her again. For 35 years, she tells me, Frank, again, in the middle of the night, the phone rang. I knew it. It was him trying to reach me. I know we're going to be married. Blah, blah, blah. I said, Patty, come on.
Wow.
He didn't call her, but that's how our mind works. So when I say she knew about this, because when John told me, I got a thing here, but we're doing so much, I said, look, that's not for me. I got enough trouble. I've been in enough trouble all my life. For 20 years, I rebuilt everything. You know what I mean? And I'm
right. So he tried to get you in on it too?
Pardon me?
Did he try and get you in on it too?
Yeah, at one point.
The scheme that he was running?
Yeah, at one point when he called, and he mentioned, I have a question for you. And I don't know. I think he has the worst. This guy, Marshall, who represents him, I think he's the worst in the world.
Yeah, Marshall Anders, he sucks. he hasn't done them any favors.
I can't even tell you, but he had another trial I went to with my brother. My brother John owns this, typing thing, right?
Right. That was the trial for the against Hershey Medical Center.
Right. When I tell you, I wanted to cry. I was there the whole thing, right? He had such a compelling case, and all the jurors there, all he had to do is tell them, have you ever been victimized by Goliath? Did Con Edison ever come and turn over PSE&G your thing and scream at you, blah, blah, blah? And that would have touched the people's thing. They all were. Everybody knows that. You get beat. But he went on to some stupid-ass thing when they signed this, whatever. The day of the opening, right, I was with him. The first thing comes, the lawyer comes over, John, they just put $500,000 on the table. We could take it and walk away right now. And I looked at John and Donna, my mind said, hey, I believe you, but $500,000 is real. He lost a couple of million.
Yeah.
But the bottom line.
Bird in the hand.
The bottom line is he had this thing in $4.3 million. He would get 2.7, and they said no. One day later, or it was even the same day, 5 hours later, the lawyer does his closing summation, whatever you call it, closing statement.
Right.
And the judge slams the mallet. Done. Nothing. You get balls, So Marshall's intelligence to me, I blasted John. I said, John, you think he's smart, but he's trying to tell 20-year-old people about, I don't know, how would you say, policy. when they signed this, they
Yeah.
did that. You know, but with that said, my last question.
Well, at the bottom, well, now he's out of the case, so he's not even in it.
Now?
Yeah. Well, what happened was it was supposed to go to trial 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And at the last second, like literally the morning of jury selection, Marshall Anders comes in and says, "Oh yeah, we can't go forward because I have a conflict of interest. I can't represent John and Donna at the same time." And everybody's like, "Well, no shit, you can't if they're not agreeing to that." And so the whole big thing, he made the judge all mad, and the trial got continued to January. So then I filed a petition so then he withdrew from representing John Marino. So John Marino is now representing himself. A new lawyer has not come in for John.
Is that so? So
and
John is representing himself? Oh,
yes. And then I thought, all right, well, I'm still, because I'm thinking, all right, now I know what he's going to do. He's just going to come into the trial, and he's still representing Donna, so he'll represent Donna, and he'll kind of, under the table, help out John, too. And it's still a conflict of interest, because he had both of them. You can't represent both and then just get out on one. So I filed a motion to have him disqualified as Donna's lawyer. And at like an hour after I filed that motion, Marshall then comes in and files a motion to withdraw as Donna's counsel too. So he's out of both of them. So he's completely out of the case.
Could he get a public defender now?
If he meets, well, I don't think so, but I'm not sure because you have to meet obviously income levels. If you have too much money or too many assets, then you can't.
Right.
So in other words,
he probably could, only because she's up to his ears, mortgage, or they want to foreclose.
Yeah.
But here's my final question. Let me just think. I just thought of it. It just came to my mind. Oh yeah. I don't know if this carries any weight, but one thing I really like to say, John's daughter, her name is Conchasa.
His stepdaughter. His stepdaughter, right?
And
right. Conchasa, right.
Her husband, his name is Donald.
Darren Donald.
They absolutely are in the blind. In other words, they have no idea. John went to them once and said, "Hey, I got something here." And Donald has a legitimate business. He takes like let's say a $50 or whatever, a coin that's, let's say, I don't know, an antique coin worth whatever.
Right.
And then he rolls it, he makes a ring out of it, he's got a legitimate business. And if I'm right, he only did one thing with John, and he trained a bunch of people, but he knew nothing. All John said to him was, "Hey, if you got, trying to help out his son-in-law, you want to make some money?" So, they are by no means anywhere, they should be dropped. You know what I'm trying to say? And again, who am I to say that? But they're absolutely.
Well, the problem is that he might not, Darren and Conchasa, they might not have known the full exact extent of what John was doing.
Right.
But they participated in it. Darren Donald, I've got text messages with Darren Donald and John Marino and emails. Darren Donald knew full well that he was submitting fake invoices, fake training invoices to the state and saying that, "Oh yeah, me and my employees got this training and pay us $4,000. He knew it was all fake.
Right.
And he still took the money. He opened up a bank account. Darren Donald walked down to Wells Fargo Bank on Lower Main Street in Stroudsburg and opened up a bank account solely to put this money in, opened a bank account the same day he got the check from the state, put the check in there, and kept his $4,000.
Yeah, so there may be more than I know. You know what I mean? I just know
Yeah.
I helped him out. He was like a nervous wreck. They fired him. He's an engineer.
Right, for New Jersey Transit.
He was in the service. He drove a tank. You know what I mean? Honorable discharge, you know. And he was so devastated, you know, that they laid him off. And we put him in touch with a lawyer. I called a friend of mine, and ultimately, whatever, they got him back reinstated. They said that they couldn't fire him until he went to court. But all I'm trying to bring out is, you know, what can I say? I understand what you're saying, but he certainly didn't know the intent. But here's my last question, sir. I had asked John, I said, John, how did this come about? How did they figure out this? Was there a whistleblower? I know John got all of these contracts with some girl, I don't know her name, I guess she was in charge. Is she the one?
No, there's no whistleblower. They got caught because they got greedy.
I don't quite understand what you're
saying. The first invoice that they submitted, the first fake invoice that John Marino submitted was $350.
Right.
Okay, for one training session, right? And he got paid that. 4 years later, the last invoice submitted, a fake invoice for training, you know what the amount was, Frank?
How much?
For one training, $27,000.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you know it's funny.
He got stupid and he got greedy.
You know, just funny in life. You know.
Well, you know what's the saying? Hogs get fat, pigs get slaughtered.
Greed is greed. You know. So, I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up hard and tough. You know, and every kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this. Half my friends are in Rico, you know, doing 20 years, whatever. I was fortunate to stay on the good side. But my point is, I thought that, in other words, so that's how you guys picked it up. It wasn't, I guess what I kept saying to John, I know there was...
No, it was a state. It was a state. The state was looking at it, all these...
Whatever her name was, that I guess he used to get the contracts from. And I thought that's what happened, that they picked her up. They said, oh, she's given out too many to John Marino, and then she turned. But, you know, I don't even know if she's involved.
No.
So she's not facing any consequences, sir.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the first? Are you talking?
You know, maybe, you know, my mind goes crazy. But, sir, let me run. By Friday, I will call you. I definitely want to go forward. I want to testify because it's ripping me apart. I thank you and have a good day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Bye-bye.